you ready for the mental challenge? Because, like, I feel like it's been kind of a whirlwind for mental stuff just in general for this entire year. So, my challenge to you for this week, and really just for life in general, is don't react, respond. So, I want you to find the ways that you react in your life to things that are unpleasant or even the things that are pleasant. And instead of like going into whatever sort of your knee-jerk reaction would normally be, take a minute and respond instead. So I'm going to break this down a little bit for you. All right, so the idea is to respond in a way that gets you to the result of the world that you'd like to see versus adding to your suffering or the suffering of those around you. So reaction is when you got that knee jerk of, oh, I gotta do something. If you feel like there's this like urgency of I gotta do something, or I've got to respond like this, it's usually a reaction. It's not always, but usually a reaction. Now, this sort of comes from, there's some time in our past where we encountered a situation, there was something that we wanted and we weren't getting, or something that we didn't want that we were getting, and we found a way to cope with that. And that, if it worked, it became sort of this program of, oh, okay, when I encounter somebody being mean, I'm gonna yell back at them. And that becomes a program that every time you encounter that, you go into that program, and that's the reaction. So this is a little bit like if you have a math equation when you're younger and you're like, oh, the 2 plus 2 is 4, therefore every math equation answer is 4. And then, it did work for the 2 plus 2. It also works for 1 plus 3. It also works for many other math equations. And you can even surround yourself in your life with these kind of math equations that always equal 4. And so, like, tends to reinforce this, oh, all the answers are 4. But it's just not true. There are many, many other answers to many, many other math equations where it doesn't equal 4. I know this is kind of a simplistic way of explaining this, but I want to make sure that this made sense. So, and then there's a lot of things in the world that will purposely like push this reaction button. They'll hit those spots where they know people are a little bit wounded. Like, oh, if you feel like you're not good enough, if you think you're not pretty enough, if you think like certain things should not be happening, they'll push that button of and trying to get you to react. So, and media kind of thrives on this. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just something to notice that they'll do. This person destroy this person, or this is and they'll sensationalize the what is it called? The titles of their articles. Wow, that word just totally left my brain right there. But notice this. They're trying to get you to react so that you'll read, so they can get your eyeballs on this. Not a good thing or a bad thing, just something that I wanted you to notice. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm really tired of just always having somebody like try and push this button on me. So if you find that somebody's keeping to trying and pushing your button, it's a way that they're trying to get you to respond in a certain way. It's a way that they can kind of control you. So what is the solution to this? So half the battle is just realizing when you're going into a reaction. And so just notice. No judgment. Just notice when you just don't feel good about yourself. Notice when something makes you angry. Notice when something makes you want to like get up and do something or act something or yell something. And don't get me wrong, there are times when you really do need to respond, but I don't want you to react from this knee-jerk reaction. I want you to respond from a place where you consciously know where you would like to go with this. So here's the next thing. Once you've found the places where you are reacting, think about how you would like whatever it is to be resolved, and work it backwards from there. So what's the ideal situation that comes out of having a reaction, responding to something that makes you upset or makes you angry or sad? What is the ideal situation that you want to have come out of that? Work your way backwards from that. How do you get to the point where the person that's disrespecting you Like the idea is that it stops or it doesn't bother you anymore. How do you get there? Work your way backwards from there. And then start with what do you do now? So a lot of the things I've been looking into is how like how does Gandhi respond to things where he did all those nonviolent protests, and that that was like British invasion and it worked. It took a long time, don't get me wrong, and there was definitely some violence on the British end to try, because the world, I'd love to say that what happens when you just respond consciously instead of reacting is that the world will be okay and you'll get but usually what actually happens is that the whatever is trying to get you to respond pushes harder to get you to respond back. And if you just got to keep coming back to what do I want to have come out of this situation? How do I respond from this place of consciousness instead of reacting from this knee-jerk reaction of how I've responded in the past? So I know it was a lot there, and I know I got a little deep there, but this is kind of the stuff that's on my mind, and I hope it was helpful for you. Your mental challenge for the next week, you might want to just stay off social media, I'll be honest. Don't react, respond. Think about how you want it to go. Figure out what you need to do to get there. Later, guys.